Microdose, yeah. Microdose, 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 dose. Microdose, microdose, dose. Microdose, microdose, dose.
What's good, y'all? Happy holidays. Kush Hayes here, coming to you with a new episode of the Microdose. I know we've been AWOL for the last 2, maybe 3 weeks, and you know what? After everything that's happened this year, guys, I got to worry about my mental health. I got to worry about just not stressing out over these podcasts. I enjoy doing them, but I also have to turn my attention to other things that are just a little bit more important. But hey, it's the end of the year. We've had a good run. Lots of fun movies that we saw. Lots of fun movies that we talked about. And one of my favorite guests, the funniest man in the room, Drew Angelman, is back. And we're going to talk about 3 of our favorite movies of 2023. Drew, what's good, dude?
Hey, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be talking about movies because I don't normally get to talk about movies. And it's funny because I have AMC A-list, but there's a point where I'm like, did I see that many movies? And then I start going through some of the lists that people put out, because this is when lists come out. The Spotify Wrapped comes out, list of TV shows, actors and actresses, and getting into the award season and everything. And going through the list, I go, okay, I've seen quite a bit of movies. I'm just glad I have the A list because there's points where I go, did I watch enough movies, or did I use it enough throughout the year? And then when looking through all these lists, I'm like, oh, I've seen a ton of movies and a ton of good movies, even if the critics don't think they are good movies at the end of the day. I still enjoyed myself getting that theater experience.
Oh man, yeah. I anyone who follows the Instagram account, it's Kush and Kai. I should probably just change it to Kush Hayes, but you know, whatever, nostalgia. I always post the poster for every movie that I see in the theater, and it's always like, oh yeah, that came out this year. Oh, that came out this year. Oh, holy shit! Like, I hated that movie. I totally forgot that was even a thing. Not to be negative, the worst movie I saw in the theater this year was Charlie Day's Fool's Paradise.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, it was disappointing by a lot. By a lot. Like, Ant-Man obviously was terrible too, but this, like, Ant-Man was rushed and had $200 million, so that's weird enough. But like, Fool's Paradise took like 6 years to complete, and it's also just like, I know there was a pandemic, but at the same time, it's just like, oof.
I didn't even
Better luck
look
next
at.
time, buddy.
I didn't even look to see what my worst movie in or out of theaters, or the worst movie I've just seen, because I was just too busy thinking of what was the best movie.
Hmm.
And I'm looking through some of these bad movies, and I think I kind of skirted around seeing some terrible movies that came out this year, which
Hmm.
I'm very surprised about.
I mean, there was stuff that I just been like, that looks terrible, and I'm not going to go see it. Exorcist the Believer, I'm looking at you. Like, I had no problem just going like, yeah, nah. I'd rather
Yeah,
shove bamboo shoots under my fingernails.
I stayed away from that one. There's a lot of movies here that I'm looking at that I remember actively going, I'm purposely not gonna go see that movie.
Yeah.
Just I knew I was gonna hate it.
I had to do a review for the Five Nights at Freddy's, and I was
Oof.
like, yeah, I wasn't a fan of it. I was definitely in awe of like the cultural ramifications it had. Like, I had no idea it had that big of an audience to where it was still available on TV, but everyone's like, we need to see this in the theater. Um, I said some really mean things about that movie, but even still, Fool's Paradise was worse.
Oh wow. Yeah, I'm looking at a lot of stuff. Yeah, I just made sure I didn't go see any real terrible movies, I guess.
Hmm.
Wow. This is
Smart.
unlike last year where I thought House of Gucci was absolutely horrific and I was about to walk out of the theater. I haven't had that experience so far this year, which is actually wild to think about.
House of Gucci was pretty hard to sit through. It was also
Oof.
funny because it's every goddamn scene. Someone walks in a room, they immediately light up a cigarette. The scene starts, they spark up a cigarette. And it happens so many times. I was like, by the end, I was like, it's been 9.5 years, but I'd really like a cigarette right now. Um, I forget what other movie that happened in this year where they're just constantly firing up, but I did not have the same effect. I was like, oh, here they're smoking another cigarette. All right.
All right, I found the one movie that I
Oh,
did walk out of
oh,
this year, and I forgot I even went to go see it. But Expendables 4
ooh, that was
was
a bad one.
atrocious. I mean, the CGI was looking like it came out of the Sci-Fi Network. It was so bad. It was horrific.
Yeah.
And the dialogue is terrible. Yeah, totally blocked that one out of my memory.
The movie was so bad, even Stallone wasn't in it.
Yeah, that was so. I
He's
almost
like,
left right when I saw
I'm gonna pick a fight with the producers of Rocky over here. You guys go ahead. I'll catch up. I'll catch up.
that was horrific. That was absolutely yeah. I can't even believe I forgot about that. I just remember walking out of the movie theater going like, nope, I'll leave the other four people in here to settle in on this. I'm gonna walk out of here.
It was one of those things where how late or early did you walk out?
It was around the time that the Megan Fox and the team was traveling to go meet with the people.
So they boarded the ship.
Yeah, and then Jason
Mhm.
Statham was like put a tracker in the giant knife and then was like I'm gonna get her.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, yeah, I'm out of here. I'm done. I've done enough.
Spoiler alert for Expendables. Sylvester Stallone was not dead. He
That's
set
what I
the
thought.
whole thing up.
Okay.
And you remember at the beginning of the movie where he recruits Statham, like, I need you to get my ring back from that guy. I lost it to fair and square.
Yeah.
Lost my ring fair and square, and I need you to take it. Anyway, they murdered that guy and put him in Stallone's place when the plane crashed.
Oh.
Like, he was just some bar thug, sure, but like he didn't do anything.
What?
And then they had a big hearty laugh about it. Like, fuck that guy.
Wow. Okay.
It was wild.
I mean, it made sense because I was like sitting there going like, well, that sucks if he's actually dead. But then I was like, he's probably not dead, and I'm just gonna leave the theater just for safe measures to save myself the full hour and a half.
I was not only disappointed by the moral implications of it, but also just like, I was like, come on, guys, commit to the bit. Like, you killed off the main dude in the franchise. Ballsy.
Yeah.
Run with it. Go with it. You had a little funeral, you had all that, and like, just make it work. Put a little plaque at the end. We miss you, Barney, or something stupid like that. But no, he just shows up at the end. Captain Deus Ex Machina.
It's not like they're going to make another one. They shouldn't. I mean, this one was absolutely terrible. They had the least amount of people. They didn't have as much money as the other ones. They should just have killed off like 2 or 3 of the main characters and been like, well, that was the final hurrah. We're done. It's over.
Yeah, that was a hard. I think you made the right move, though. I think you made the right move leaving on that one. So we're gonna get into our top threes here in a minute. But did you have any interest in seeing the Iron Claw? A24's The Iron Claw with Zac Efron.
That's my like last movie on my most anticipated movies list. Yeah,
I went to go see it last night.
Ooh, really?
What I did see of it, I would give a very strong 4 out of 5.
Wow.
Here's why I didn't give it a 5 out of 5, and maybe it still would have been a 4 out of 5. But the AMC Metreon fucked up, and 10 minutes is left in the picture, and all of a sudden, like, we're having a really dramatic moment, and then all of a sudden images just start blurring together to the point where, like, are they trying to, it's A24, are they trying to do something experimental? No. the digital projector is fucking up somehow, and the audio you think you're on acid, and you're just like, holy shit. They tried to reset it a couple times, and finally just like, all right, guys, Pass is waiting for you at guest services, but we gotta close the theater now.
Wow.
So I for what I saw, I really liked it. But yeah, it's a very disappointing result.
I can see that. That's like my last movie I've been wanting to see this year. And so I'm hoping to go see it very soon once it like actually releases. But I've been waiting for this movie. I've seen the trailer in front of every single movie since like September, at least, maybe October. And I've just been like, I want to see this movie so bad.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope you like it.
I sure hope so too.
Hope you get to finish it even. So let's talk favorite movies, man. So dig this. I do this other podcast called The Waffle Box. I've already given out my top 5 movies that I've seen in theaters. So I'm going to tell you the top three movies that I saw streaming exclusively. But Drew, what do you got on your list? Let's start with yours first.
Okay, so I want to bring up three movies that maybe aren't getting as much love, but I had fun in the theater watching these movies.
Okay.
And I will say that if we're gonna talk, I don't know if we're gonna actually bring up the top 10 pictures from the variety thing. Um, but I could always give my real top three or a somewhat estimation of my top three later. But I wanted to bring up some movies that I feel like have kind of got lost in the shuffle or aren't getting as much love. First of all, kind of like my Barbarian theater experience, I think last year, I wanted to give my most wild theater experience and just
Okay.
overall, just like shocked value of a movie. Is just out here, and I want to talk about it. And that is Beau is Afraid by Ari Aster.
Ooh.
Speaking of A24, I'll tell you right now, that was a wild ride. Too many times are movies predictable and only an hour and a half long or 2 hours long. But Beau is Afraid decides to just subvert both of those expectations and do a 3.5 hour movie that is so long and so perplexing at points that I didn't know what was going on or what was real or not. But I love Ari Aster. I liked Joaquin Phoenix a lot. I thought it was super ambitious. I commend A24 for actually giving Ari Aster free reign, and then he probably just screwed over every single director after him for A24 to never do that ever again. They're going to be like, we need a little bit of control now moving
Wow.
forward. But I just remember watching that movie just kind of like shocked at almost every single turn.
Hey, cuz, you got a cat or something in your room?
Yeah, it's my dog.
Okay, because I saw the door start to open and I was like, oh shit, are we capturing a paranormal experience here? Oh no.
No, it's my dog. He
Okay.
comes in whenever he wants to.
Yeah, Beau is Afraid. I wanted to see it. The trailer absolutely looked fascinating, and then something happened. I forget what kept me from seeing it. I'm pretty sure it was at the Regal down the street, but I started hearing conflicting reports. Like some people loved it. I don't think I knew any of those people, but like one dude I knew, I'm not trying to put anyone down, but one dude I knew that, I take his opinion pretty seriously. It's just like, yeah, I don't know, man. And it was 3.5 hours, and I was like, all right, well, that's to that. Like,
Yeah, it's very divisive, but I mean, once you get into like the rhythm of it, I could see it being more of a streaming movie once it finally gets to streaming and like you can do it and like break it up. But just sitting there in the theater just trying to like figure out, okay, this is where we're heading, and then all of a sudden it takes a hard left. And then you're like, all right, now I got to get myself reorganized here. And yeah, it was a wild ride, but it was fun. It was definitely a memorable movie, whether it was good or bad. People will remember it.
okay, I like that. I mean, there's definitely been plenty of. I'm not going to say they were terrible movies, but they're not good. But there's something about it that makes you like, why do I keep rewatching this movie? Like, it always keeps my attention for whatever reason. Uh, Movies, as you just discussed, 3.5 hours. We also had Killers of the Flower Moon, which was three and a
Mhm.
half hours, and then Napoleon, Ridley Scott's Napoleon, that was 3 hours. The talks of intermission keeps coming up, and at first I was like, no, you could just not make the movie 3.5 hours, or
Right.
we also don't have to drink a pony keg's worth of Pepsi. Like, or I could just go to the bathroom for 3 minutes and I'll use two brain cells and I'll figure out what I missed while I was gone. Like it's not that difficult. But then it occurred to me like the Regal is very guilty of this too. AMC for some reason the best part of last night was we only had 15 minutes of trailers. For some reason the Regal's doing
Oh
like a
yeah.
full 30 minutes since Oppenheimer now. Um, Make you a deal. You want to do this intermission? Give us those 30 minutes of trailers only in the intermission. Start the movie at 4 o'clock. Like we're going four. Like Universal logo comes up, we're in the movie. That's it. And then when it's time for the intermission, play the trailers.
Yeah, I've definitely gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, this movie is supposed to be like you said. I went to go see Oppenheimer or Napoleon or Flowers of the Killer Moon, and I'm thinking, all right, they got to cut down some of these trailers, right? This movie is so long, but
Mm.
no, they just keep the same amount of trailers or even bulk up the trailers because they know that this is like a movie that's going to get a lot of eyes on it. And it's like, I don't want to see any of these movies. Just play the movie that I came to come see. My gosh.
Hmm.
And then that's like
It's pretty frustrating.
what's even more
And then by the
frustrating
time
is that
we actually get to the movie, I have to pull my phone out. That means
yeah,
I'm brightening the entire theater just to like, okay, it's now 4:30. That means we now have 3.5 hours from now. I'm
yeah,
not getting out of here before 9 o'clock. Fuck.
yeah. And then it's like, what was it? I want to say like even last month, you're getting movie trailers for 2024 movies. And it's like,
Mhm.
we're not even there yet. Like we're still in 2023. Let's not jump the gun here. I'll see what's coming out in January, the stuff you're dumping in January when we get to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's frustrating.
Mm. I'm gonna go to a movie here on my list. I'm not necessarily putting, three, two, or one on this, but this was a really good one. I'm talking about the Hulu exclusive No One Will Save You, rated PG-13. It is a nice, tight 93 minutes, written and directed by a man named Brian Dudefield, if I said that correctly. My handwriting is terrible. Duffield, Brian Duffield. Ha. And it stars Miss Caitlin Dever. She was the other girl in Booksmart. Um, this movie is pretty fantastic. It has next to no dialogue in it whatsoever, but the entire time you're engaged. It's an interesting sci-fi story. It's a home invasion movie. It's an alien invasion movie, and the entire time I'm watching it, like I'm a little confused as to why our main character isn't talking. There's nothing indicating she had a concussion or lost her voice in an electrical fire or whatever. I don't know. I don't know how people lose their voices these days, but she kept a tone the entire time, just using facial tics and hand gestures and just look of dread. In fact, it's pretty funny that I almost forgot that this was a movie that came out over the summer because I just saw Silent Night, John Woo's return to American cinema, and it's the same thing. It's not a silent movie, but nobody talks. There's plenty of booms and pow 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 and growling and all that other stuff, but no one talks the entire time. And I was just like, oh, we got two of those movies this year. That's interesting. That's interesting.
I'm excited that you said that this movie was good because I remember my friend sending me the trailer to this movie,
Mhm.
and I was excited because I thought the trailer looked incredible. I love Caitlin Devers, and I just never checked it out. It like fell through the cracks in my brain.
Mhm.
I got too busy. It kind of like I don't go on Hulu as much, and if I go on Hulu, I have like a specific reason why I go on there instead of just like
Mhm.
kind of browsing like I do on like Netflix or YouTube or something. So now that you mentioned this movie, I'm very excited to now go check it out. I'm probably going to do that this weekend while it's raining. So
Oh, nice.
that's exciting.
Yeah, it's it's again, it's not the best movie of the year, but it's for a streamer. I found it really well done. Again, it kept my attention the entire time. I want to know where are we going with this. The aliens are creepy enough looking, and then you just you keep asking the movie questions that you want answers to. So yeah, I would definitely have given this a strong 4.
Oh, nice. All right. I'm gonna get into another creepy horror-ish movie, and I guess I'm just staying in the A24
Why not?
filmography here, and I'm gonna go with Talk to Me, which was a film
Oh, the hand
debut.
thing.
Yeah, the horror movie done by the two brothers from YouTube people from Raka Raka, and yeah, they did an amazing job for their first movie.
Mm.
I love delving into interviews because I don't do this with a lot of the movies, but I knew that they were like YouTubers and then they got work with A24, and I wanted to hear the backstory of how it all came about. And the more I listened to it, the more I felt like, wow, these guys had their stuff together. They knew what they wanted to do, and I felt like it was just inspiring. And then watching the movie, it kind of, I don't know, enhanced the experience for me because you could see that they had some different takes on certain creative or style that we haven't really seen before in the horror genre. The camera tilts, the different musicality to it. I thought it was just like a little bit of a fresher take. Again, like you were saying with the other movie, the No One Will Save You movie, it wasn't the best. Like I wouldn't say it's like the best movie of the year, but it was just something different that I felt like was different and I could feel it was different. And even though the story was kind of like, I don't know, not very complex, I just thought it was really well done by newcomers to the medium of like a big studio movie kind of vibe. And I just thought it was really charming at the end of the day.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't heard everybody talk about this movie. However, everybody I have heard talk about this movie has only had positive things to say. No one mentions the runtime. No one mentions like, I'd like to see 20. No, like everyone's just like, these guys did something very special here, and it needs to be appreciated by more people. So yeah, I don't know how I missed that one too. I definitely slept on it, but I'm pretty sure it's on like Prime now. I will
I
have to
believe
double check.
so. Yeah.
So I got a new movie here. This was a Netflix exclusive. I think it also came out around the summertime or whatever. But I'm talking about Sam Hargrave's Extraction #2, the Chris Hemsworth renegade mercenary film series based on a comic book. If you saw the first Extraction, we are led to believe that Chris Hemsworth is dead, but we have to have a sequel. So he has been resurrected like altered beasts. Rise from your grave. And then he did. So this is 2 hours, 2 minutes. It's written by the Russo brothers as well as the guy who did the comic book. And then again, Chris Hemsworth, Golshifteh Farhani. I probably butchered that nice woman's name, but she's amazing in this movie. And then Tornike Gogrichny, and that man is very terrifying. He is the bad guy. Chris Hemsworth has to rehab all the bullshit he went through in India in the last movie. Like, 'cause he got fucked up to the point where like, oh no, there's no way this man has survived. First 20 minutes of this movie is him just going through rehab and like pins and needles and like
Sheesh.
it's it showcases the horrors of war, that this shit is real. Once we get to the action scenes, they're all very impressive. They can be a little bit exhausting. Like the drama is that intense. The consequences are very serious. Unlike John Wick 4, where he got hit by 5 cars. No, someone gets hit by a car, they're done. There's no getting up and walking it off and like, I scraped my elbow. Fuck. Like people get stabbed in the leg and then they let out the most horrific shriek you've ever heard, because guess what? That shit hurts. It doesn't matter how tough you are. Like you just took a knife in the thigh and you're like, fuck. So there is a prison riot scene. Look, Chris Hemsworth has to break into a prison, extract a woman and her children because her gangster husband is serving time. And he's just like, I'll bring my family. It'll be fun for everybody.
Oh my gosh.
So Chris Hemsworth has to sneak them out. And, something always fucks up. And then a giant prison riot happens where it goes on for like 35 minutes. It's all supposed to be one cut action scenes, and they're hidden cuts, but it's all really well done. But it's also just like, oh my god, Chris Hemsworth's arm is on fire. What is happening here?
Sheesh.
This is dangerous. I'm scared. So, but it's really well done. Again, like the consequences are real. They take the action seriously. Yeah, I gave it a 4. So I think it's even better than the first one. They definitely set it up for a third one, and we'll see what happens.
I didn't check out this one yet. I wasn't a huge fan because I did watch the first one. I wasn't a huge fan of the first one. I don't know why, it just didn't connect with me. I watched it and I was just like, it was fine. And then it's funny that you mentioned it because I was just listening to a movie podcast. I can't remember what it was. And they mentioned that they were like, oh, well, I watched Extraction 2 and it was great. And one guy was like, I didn't like the first one. They were like, me neither. But the second one is incredible. And you bringing it up makes me feel like I should maybe just check it out. I mean, if it's 2 people are saying it's good, I'm now intrigued to try to check it out.
Yeah, I had to do a review for Extraction 2 on the Waffle Box. So that's the only reason why I went back to see it. But even before I started, I went like, how did that first movie end? Because I could have swore this dude died. And then I'm embarrassed to say it, Drew Angelman, I had to go on YouTube and look up an ending explained video, and I felt so dirty. I was like, oh fuck, damn you. Well, what do you got, buddy?
All right, for the final movie I want to bring up and talk about, another divisive movie, but it was one that I liked. I think it was, I could see why people say it's style over substance, but I thought it was still pretty decent and one that I would want to re-watch. And that is Asteroid City, the Wes Anderson film. This was absolutely beautiful to watch on in the movie theater on a giant screen. The colors really pop. I thought the characters were really intriguing. The Wes Anderson style is incredible. So it's not for everybody. But this movie also kind of flipped it on things on its head by having to be a play within a movie within a play within a movie and trying to like piece all of that together. And I think when I watched it the first time, I was so engulfed in the story that when they do hit you with the, oh, this is a play within the situation and these are now different people playing characters. So it's just characters on playing characters. And I was like, I need to rewatch this movie again. It's finally on Peacock, and
Okay.
I got the Black Friday sale, so now I have it. And I've been meaning to rewatch it because I feel like I would be able to sit down and like really try to take in the story instead of trying to figure out like everything that was going on. I just really liked it. It also like started a Wes Anderson binge for me because I haven't watched a lot of his movies before. So I watched Fantastic Mr. Fox and I watched gosh, I can't remember. Well, Rushmore was the
Mm.
other one, and I like both of those movies a lot. So it made me eager to watch Asteroid City and more of his films. But I really enjoyed that movie a lot. I know that a lot of people were like hit or miss with it. Even Wes Anderson film people were kind of off on it, and I don't think it's his best showing, but I still think it was really, really solid.
Yeah, again, this is another movie on your list that I somehow slept on. Like kept seeing the trailers for it, and Wes Anderson is one of those weird directors where like his batting average isn't the highest, but for whatever reason, I'm excited every time he steps up to the plate. Like, oh,
Hmm.
here's another thing I would like to see, and then he ultimately, more times than not, I end up leaving disappointed, which is crazy because you're like, I've seen what you can do, man. Like,
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, I don't know anybody that saw this. In fact, it was one of those things where it was there and then it was gone. And yeah, it's on Peacock now. I don't know how easily accessible that will be for me, but it's nice to note there. It looked like a very pretty movie, but all of his movies, look really good.
Yeah. Yeah, they look fantastic. And I think that's where he gets in trouble with a lot of people because I think a lot of people are like, wow, you put so much into your style or how to like set up a frame. But when they get to the actual plot or trying to pull things apart, it's like, this isn't a whole lot in it. I mean, I like that you took time to put the frame together and it's something pretty to look at, but it kind of falls apart. But I thought City was really good.
My final movie on this list of movies that I like that were exclusively streaming is Apple TV Plus's Tetris, rated R, which I'm not entirely sure why. 1 hour 58 minutes, directed by John S. Baird, and written by Noah Pink, starring Taron Egerton and then Nikita Efremov, whose name I probably mispronounced as well. This is the story of how Tetris was created and then ultimately produced and developed. And the movie is really good. The story is fantastic, though. I don't know if you're familiar with how Tetris became a mainstream global phenomenon. Oh,
No, I
well,
have not.
I would absolutely recommend you check out the movie. But if you go on YouTube, there's a YouTube channel called Gaming Historian, and he did a documentary. It's about 1 hour about the story of Tetris, and it is fascinating.
Hmm.
It's a really well done documentary as well. The guy tells a story. He knows all the players involved, and when I heard that they were doing Tetris as a movie, I was like, oh shit, I cannot wait to see this. And it did not disappoint. And in fact, it's one of those things where it's like, I wish I could have seen this in the theater. I mean, it's nothing really special about it, like visually or acoustically, but still, it's just like, yeah, I would have had a good time with this in the theater. So, yeah, Story of Tetris. It's fascinating. It also was like the first of one of 6 movies this year where we were talking about in how something became. We had a movie about the Beanie Babies. We had a movie about Flamin' Hot Cheetos. The Air Jordan sneaker. I think I'm missing 2 or 3 others. Gran Turismo might be a part of that. I'm still a little fuzzy on that, but yeah, I love Tetris. Very strong 4 out of 5 for me. And if you have Apple TV Plus, it's worth it.
I got rid of Apple TV Plus to start off the year. But yeah, I'm so looking forward to watching that documentary because I mean I go on YouTube all the time just wanting to watch hour-long videos, and this movie looked intriguing. I just wish it was on a different streaming service because I would have definitely
Oh, yeah.
checked it out.
Yeah. I can't tell you how annoyed I get every time I see a trailer for something like, oh, this looks very interesting. Coming to Paramount Plus. I was like, fuck you. Fuck you. I'm not getting your Paramount Plus. I will just deprive myself then. Bass Reeves. Oh, I don't know, man. You got an honorable mention, or is there anything on the horizon that you're like, yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to that Argyle movie or whatever?
I do want to mention real quickly. I just watched it last week, I believe. I saw an early preview a week ahead of time before it got released this past weekend, and that was The Boy and the Heron, the Miyazaki film. I
Oh,
finally
okay.
got to go see it, and it was incredible. Again, kind of like Asteroid City. There was a lot going on at one point. There's a lot to take in,
Hmm.
and I can't wait till I can watch this on like I guess Max because they have the Studio Ghibli movies.
Oh,
But
sure. Yeah.
but The Boy and the Heron was beautiful to watch. I love Miyazaki films. I love just seeing him tell a story, and I just thought it was like definitely not what I expected, but never is nothing. You can't expect anything from his movies and be like, oh yeah, I guessed it. But I thought it was really, really good. I will say there was a lot of people that left the theater, and I heard them being like, "Well, that was a movie," or "Well,
Oh.
okay, well that happened," and I'm like, I get it. It was weird, but like, let's take a step back and know that this was his style, and I love that he went for it, and I think he was. You could tell he was going through stuff. Like you can
Mhm.
definitely tell like he's really thinking through a lot. And I just really appreciate all that he's done for his company as well as just the movie scene in general. And I just really, really appreciate this movie. And I can't wait to watch it again.
Nice. Nice. Um, Honestly, I don't really got anything else. Shit, it's wasn't an original streaming, but I will mention it again. It's available now with an Amazon Prime subscription. Go check out Polite Society. It's rated PG-13. It's like 104 minutes long, but it's very fun. It's got a lot of great action. You like the characters. It's a family film. Like it's yeah, Polite Society. Everybody slept on, including the foreign market, which is crazy to me because it's an international movie. Like if you believe everything on Box Office Mojo, this movie globally only made about $3 million, and
Really?
60% of that somehow came from the United States. And it's like that doesn't make any sense. So
Yeah, no, that doesn't. I mean, so that's funny that you mentioned it, and I'm really upset with myself because you mentioned it to me on one of our podcasts that we
mm.
did this past year, and I saw it came to Peacock, and
Oh,
so I
okay.
I started watching it, and I got 40 minutes in. I was really enjoying it, and then I had to like stop it for some reason. I don't know
Mhm.
if I was like going somewhere or I had to do something or something came up, and then I never went back to go rewatch it. I mean, it's on Peacock, so I don't necessarily go on Peacock all
Mhm.
that often, so I never like restarted it. But knowing that it's on Prime and stuff, I'm definitely looking forward to watching that movie because I liked the first 40 minutes that I got to
Mhm.
see. I was kicking myself that I haven't like finished it yet though.
The rest of the movie is yeah, it maintains its quality. I thought it was heading one direction, and they went, nope, we're not doing that. We're going somewhere totally different. And I was like, okay, I'm all in still. Let's do this. But yeah. Drew Angelman, you do stuff around here. You want to tell the people where they can find you and how they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on social media, whether it's at X or Instagram at Drew Angelman. I'm also on YouTube at youtube.com/AngelCakeVids, where I'm talking about the challenge or reality TV. Not necessarily movies, but I love talking about movies, and I want to do it more often. Also, I want to see more movies. So, but yeah, you can catch me there talking about other random stuff and getting angry at nonsensical stuff. So that's
Oh,
what I do.
we gotta get you one of those stress balls then, or squeak, 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 squeak. Folks, I do some stuff around here. You know what I do. It's friend of the family, Mike Fish, and I. We have a little show called The Waffle Box. It's the original Waffle Box. It's the people's podcast, and it is the best part of Wednesdays. You accept no substitutes. Coming to you all the way from the future home of Super Bowl 60. You love us because we do this. We do this because we love you. Merry Christmas. By the way, don't drink and drive, holidays, all that good stuff. Don't drink and drive when it's not the holidays. And, well, for funniest man in the room, Drew Angelman, I've been Kush Hayes. You've been you.
Microdose, 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 yeah, microdose.
From the Bosnet family.
He's probably not dead, and I'm just gonna leave the theater.